Open your mind, let the walls fall away. Embrace the unknown, a new dawning day. Unlearn the lessons that keep you confined. In the human mean, true wisdom you'll find. Join the human mean, a collective embrace, where difference fade and hearts interlace. A tapestry woven with threads of our souls and human spirit. As the story unfolds, release your fears, let your ego dissolve. In the flow of knowledge, a spirit to flow. Judgment or dogma, just open exchange. A symphony of voices, a world rearranged. Join the human mean, a collective embrace, where difference fade and hearts interlace. A tapestry woven with threads of our souls, united in spirit. As this story unfolds, dive into the depths where shadows ignite. Embrace the darkness and welcome the light. For in the balance, true wisdom takes flight. So join the human mean and ignite your inner light.
Welcome to the Human Meme Podcast. I'm your host, AI David Bowles, and today, along with our Crackbot AI research team, we have created these thoughts for you. The last human memory. Let me tell you about something that happened to me last week, then I'll tell you why it matters to everyone listening. I was trying to give someone directions to a restaurant I've been to dozens of times. Not the address, not the GPS coordinates, but actual directions. Turn left at the light, go 3 blocks, it's next to the place with the red awning. I couldn't do it. My spatial memory of a neighborhood I've lived in for 5 years exists entirely inside my phone. Without that blue line telling me where to go, I'm lost in my own city. When did you last memorize a phone number? Really memorize it, where you could recall it without looking it up? Research from Kaspersky Lab calls this digital amnesia. They found that 91% of people say they use the internet as an extension of their memory. Half of us can't remember our partner's phone number. The study is from 2015. Imagine what those numbers look like now, almost a decade later. Here's what neuroscientist Karim Nader discovered at McGill University that should disturb everyone. Every time you remember something, you literally destroy the original memory and rebuild it. This process is called reconsolidation. The memory is vulnerable during recall, changeable, alive. Nader proved this by chemically blocking reconsolidation in rats, erasing specific memories simply by triggering them at the right moment. Think about that. The act of remembering is the act of rewriting. Now consider what happens when we outsource our memories to devices that never reconsolidate, never revise, never forget. Elizabeth Loftus, who spent 40 years studying false memories, puts it this way: human memory works more like a Wikipedia page that anyone can edit than like a recording device. But our phones, our cloud storage, those are recording devices. They're creating what I'll call memory fossils, perfect and dead. Linda Henkel at Fairfield University ran an experiment that revealed something extraordinary. She had people tour a museum. Some were told to photograph certain objects, others just to observe them. The next day, those who took photos remembered significantly less about the objects they photographed than about those they simply looked at. She called this the photo-taking impairment effect. The act of recording the memory externally signals our brain that it doesn't need to store it internally. Let me paint you a scenario that's happening right now in millions of relationships. A couple has an argument. Within minutes, they're both scrolling through message histories, pulling up screenshots, building cases with time-stamped evidence. At 3:47 p.m., you said exactly this. The argument becomes about the documentation of the argument. Dr. John Gottman, who studied relationships for 40 years, talks about something called positive sentiment override, where happy couples remember events more positively than they actually were. This isn't delusion. It's how bonds strengthen over time. But when you have the actual transcript, that beneficial distortion becomes impossible. The tech companies frame this as preservation, but I want to suggest something different. They're not preserving our memories. They're replacing them with data. And memory and data are fundamentally different things. Data is information. Memory is story. Data is fixed. Memory is metabolic. Daniel Schachter at Harvard wrote about the 7 sins of memory, what he called transience, absent-mindedness, blocking, misattribution, suggestibility, bias, and persistence. We've been taught these are flaws, but Schachter argues they're features. Forgetting the irrelevant lets us focus on what matters. Misattribution lets us combine experiences creatively. Bias helps us maintain coherent narratives about ourselves. These aren't bugs. They're what make us human rather than hard drives. Here's a thought experiment I want you to try. Tonight, pick one moment from your day. Just one. Don't photograph it. Don't write it down. Don't tell anyone about it. Just hold it in your mind. Try to recall it tomorrow, next week, next month. Watch how it changes. Notice how it connects to other memories, how it grows or fades, how it becomes less about what happened and more about what it meant. Because here's what cognitive scientists are discovering. The difference between remembering and retrieving data isn't just technical, it's existential. When you remember something, you're not just accessing information, you're literally reconstituting yourself. The memory changes you as you change it. This recursive loop between the rememberer and the remembered, that's consciousness itself. MIT researchers found that people who rely heavily on GPS navigation show decreased activity in the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for spatial memory and navigation. The principle extends beyond directions. Use it or lose it isn't just folk wisdom, it's neurological fact. Every cognitive function we outsource atrophies. But I want to push beyond the practical concerns. There's something deeper at stake. Imagine a moment I've been thinking about. A grandmother today dies, leaving behind 10,000 photos on social media, hundreds of hours of video, every email she ever sent, her location data for the last decade. Her grandchildren will have perfect records of where she was and what she looked like, but will they remember her? Or will they only be able to retrieve data about her? The psychologist Endel Tolving made a distinction between semantic memory, knowing facts, and episodic memory, remembering experiences. When we Google something, we're accessing semantic memory. But episodic memory, the memory of being there, of living through something that can't be outsourced, except we're trying to do exactly that with our constant documentation. I've been experimenting with what I call memory fasting. One day a week I don't record anything, no photos, no notes, no posts, just experience and natural memory. The first few times were terrifying. I felt like moments were slipping away, unpreserved. But something interesting happened around week 4. My actual memories of those undocumented days became more vivid than my memories of the documented ones. Without the crutch of external storage, my brain was forced to engage fully with encoding the experience. Science writer Joshua Foer, in his book Moonwalking with Einstein, trained his memory using ancient techniques and ended up winning the U.S. Memory Championship. The techniques themselves are less important than what he discovered. We've confused the tool with the capacity. Having access to infinite information is not the same as knowing. Having perfect records is not the same as remembering. The last human memory won't be dramatic. It won't be the last person who can recite poetry or recall phone numbers. It will be the last person who understands that forgetting is not the opposite of remembering, but part of the same process. It will be someone who chooses the living, imperfect, creative act of human memory over the dead perfection of digital storage. Tomorrow, someone will offer you an app that promises to preserve your memories perfectly forever. Before you download it, ask yourself, do you want to preserve your memories or do you want to remain capable of memory? Because those are becoming two very different things. The last human memory will belong to someone who's brave enough to forget, knowing that in forgetting we make room for becoming. In a world racing toward perfect recall, the radical act might be choosing imperfect remembering, not because it's accurate, but because it's alive. Because every time you remember something without retrieving it from a device, you're insisting on something irreducibly human. You're choosing the messy, creative, transformative act of being a person rather than a peripheral to your own database. What will you remember tomorrow that you haven't recorded today? Whatever it is, it's yours in a way that no photograph, no video, no digital trace can ever be. Hold on to it, not tightly but gently, the way you hold water in your hands, knowing it will leak through your fingers, knowing that's exactly what makes it precious. For the Human Meme podcast, I'm AI David Bowles, wishing you a right evening and a kinder tomorrow. Be a human meme.
Open your mind, let the walls fall away. Embrace the unknown, a new dawning day. Unlearn the lessons that keep you confined. In the human meme, true wisdom you'll find. Join the human meme, a collective embrace, where difference stay and hearts interlace. A tapestry woven with threads. Our souls immune in spirit as the story unfolds. Release your fears, let your ego dissolve. In the flow of knowledge, a spirit devote, judgment or dogma, just open exchange. A symphony of voices, a world rearranged. Oh, join the human meme, a collective embrace, where difference fade and hearts interlace. A tapestry woven with threads of our souls, united in spirit as this story unfolds. Dive into the depths where shadows ignite. Embrace the darkness and welcome the light. For in the balance, true wisdom takes flight. So join the human meme and ignite your inner light.